Carl Jung's most unsettling insight had nothing to do with madness, at least not in the way people imagine. It was about a rare kind of person, the kind who notices everything others miss, who reads between lines most people never see, and who can't unsee the truth once it's revealed. Jung found them in his consulting room, men and women with an almost surgical perception. They caught the micro-frown before the smile, felt the tension before a word was spoken, and picked up the subtle shift in the air when truth was replaced by a lie. They walked into a room and instantly knew who was hurting, who was pretending, and who was silently seething. On paper, that sounds like a superpower. In reality, Jung saw that it was a burden, sometimes a fatal one. These people didn't collapse because they were unstable, but because the weight of awareness slowly isolated them from the rest of the world. Seeing too much, Jung warned, comes with a psychological cost that most will never understand. One case in 1913 would define this discovery. It was during Jung's own crisis after his split from Freud. The patient was highly introverted, deeply intuitive, and, as Jung later classified, part of the rarest personality type in his system. She had what he called undifferentiated intuitive perception. She didn't just notice moods, she absorbed them. She saw through polite conversation and found the unspoken grief beneath it. Her accuracy startled Jung. Again and again, she would describe someone's hidden motives with almost supernatural precision. And when he investigated, she was right. Every time. This wasn't paranoia. This wasn't hallucination. This was what happens when the unconscious becomes too conscious. Jung wrote that such perception was socially dangerous, not because it harmed others directly, but because it broke the invisible agreements that keep society functioning. You see, groups depend on shared illusions, little lies we tell each other to keep life smooth.
Problem with someone like her? She couldn't play along. People felt naked around her, exposed. And when you make others feel that way, they don't thank you, they push you away. Or worse, they turn you into the problem. Jung would come to call this shadow projection, the phenomenon where people attack those who reflect back the very parts of themselves they're unwilling to face. The highly perceptive become scapegoats, lightning rods for unspoken conflict. And here's the cruel twist. The more accurate they are, the more hostility they attract. If you've ever been blamed for creating drama when all you did was point out what's obviously wrong, if you've ever been accused of being too intense simply for telling the truth, then you've tasted what Jung's patients lived with every day. But Jung went further. Through years of work, he identified 4 distinct modes of this rare perception. Feeling intuitives, who absorb emotions so deeply they can't always tell which feelings are theirs and which belong to someone else. Sensation intuitives, who notice the physical signals of stress, illness, and fatigue before the person themselves is aware. Pure intuitives, who see everything but struggle to put it into words, living in a constant state of overwhelm. Jung realized that no matter what type, these people faced the same threats. Disruption of collective illusions. They threaten the unspoken agreements that hold groups together. Psychological isolation. Their perception separates them from others on an existential level. Loss of personal identity. They absorb so much from others that they forget where they end and the world begins. To Jung, this made integration not optional, but urgent. Without it, the gift becomes a slow-motion collapse. With it, the gift becomes exactly what the world needs. And here,
transformation begins not in learning to see less, but in learning to carry what you see without drowning in it. If you're still reading, maybe you recognize yourself in this. Maybe you've always sensed more than people tell you and wondered if you were broken because of it. You're not, but without the right tools, you can break under the weight of it. We'll explore the method Jung developed to prevent that collapse and how those who integrate this rare perception become what he called pioneers of consciousness, people essential for the next stage of humanity's psychological evolution. Before we continue, pause for a second. If these words feel like they're describing your life, it's not by accident. Leave a comment sharing which mode of perception feels closest to your experience, because finding the few who understand is the first step out of isolation. But here's the truth no one likes to say out loud. Your dreams don't care about your comfort. They don't care if you're tired, if you're scared, or if you've been hurt before. They don't wait for the perfect timing, because perfect timing is a myth people invented to justify their hesitation. Life rewards those who act while others are still thinking. That's why most people never get to see the view from the top. They're too busy convincing themselves they're not ready to climb. I've met people who've spent years waiting for the right moment to start. And you know what they end up with? Regret. Regret is the heaviest weight you will ever carry, heavier than any struggle, heavier than any risk. And here's the catch. It grows with time. The longer you wait, the heavier it becomes. So when will you stop letting fear make your decisions? Every single day, the world tests you. It doesn't always come in the form of huge battles. Sometimes it's in the small choices. The decision to wake up early or hit snooze, to speak up or stay silent, to push harder or settle. And those small choices, they shape
You far more than the rare big moments. You are either building a stronger version of yourself or you're slowly training yourself to be weaker. Which one are you doing right now? Remember this, progress feels uncomfortable because you are stretching beyond your limits. It's not supposed to feel safe. If you only do what feels good, you'll stay exactly where you are. And if where you are isn't where you want to be, then you already know the problem. Comfort zones aren't just safe, they're prisons with invisible walls. And every day you stay inside them, those walls grow higher. The person you're meant to become is waiting on the other side of fear. But here's the thing, fear will never fully disappear. You can't kill it, but you can walk alongside it. You can train yourself to move forward even with trembling hands and a racing heart. Courage isn't about feeling ready, it's about acting before you feel ready. So if you're waiting for confidence to magically appear, you'll be waiting forever. Confidence comes after you act, never before. And here's the uncomfortable truth. You will fail. Not once, not twice, over and over again. And every time you do, the world will watch. Some will mock you, some will doubt you, some will even tell you they knew you'd never make it. But failure is not the opposite of success, it is the training ground for it. Every scar is proof that you stepped into the arena while others stayed in the stands. The scars you collect are the receipts for the life you fought to live. Think about it. How many times have you seen someone chasing their dream and thought, I wish I had the courage to do that? Why not be that person for someone else? Why not become the example that breaks someone else's chains? You're not just building your life for you. You're building it for everyone who's silently watching, hoping to find proof that it's possible. There will be days when you'll want to quit, days when you'll ask yourself why you even started. Those moments, you have to remember that the pain of discipline is temporary, but the pain of giving up lasts forever. Discipline is hard, but regret will haunt you in ways you can't escape. So ask yourself, what pain do you want to live with? Stop telling yourself you're not the type of person who can achieve great things. That's just an excuse dressed up as humility. Every extraordinary person you admire was once ordinary. The difference? They made decisions that most people avoid. They didn't just wish, they worked. They didn't just dream, they acted. They didn't just hope, they committed. You might think the odds are against you, but here's a secret. They're against everyone. The question is, will you let that stop you, or will you become the kind of person who moves forward despite the odds?
You don't need permission to start. You don't need approval to change. And you certainly don't need anyone else's belief to believe in yourself. Some people will never understand your vision, and that's okay. It's not their vision. God didn't put your calling in their heart. He put it in yours. That means it's your responsibility to protect it, to nurture it, and to fight for it when no one else will. The road will be narrow, but it leads to the life you were created to live. So here's my challenge to you. Stop talking about what you're going to do and start doing it. Stop waiting for signs and start creating them. If you've been looking for permission, this is it. If you've been waiting for a reason, here it is. The time isn't someday. It's not when you feel ready. It's now. And the longer you wait, the further your dreams drift away. Your future is shaped by what you do today, not by what you plan to do tomorrow. You don't need another year to think. You need a single decision to act. And once you make that decision, don't look back. Burn the ships. Close the exits. Commit so fully that failure isn't even an option you can entertain. And if you're still wondering why you should start, because it's better to fail fighting for your dreams than to succeed living a life you hate. Because the pain of regret is doubly painful, because it's the regret and the knowledge that what should have been. And because you weren't created for mediocrity. You were created for greatness.
Whether it's worth it, remember this. One day you will meet the person you could have become. That meeting will either be the proudest moment of your life or your deepest regret. Which will it be? Don't waste another second. Start now. Build now. Live now.